Welcome, 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 everybody. Today is Monday. Luis, what day is this?
Today is Monday. Today is Mindful Merchants Live, and
Yes,
today
yes,
we have our special guest today, Curious Picker.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're gonna chat. We're gonna chat with him today and get to know him a little better, and hopefully you guys might have some questions for him to ask. Maybe get to know him a little bit of what he does.
I think I got to put my thing on mute. See, I tell everybody to put it on mute, and I'm guilty of it today.
It happens. It happens. It's all good.
That's live. Yeah. That's how it is. But yeah, we appreciate everybody coming in.
Echo of Luis going, yeah. Well, cool. Welcome, Brennan. This is AKA Brennan. He's known as the Curious Picker. Would you like to just give a little background about yourself?
Yeah. Sure. Thank you, guys. Yeah. So my name's Brennan. I've been reselling for, 8 years. This is 8 years I've been reselling now. I'm part-time. I will say this is the first year that I've really tried to kick it into gear. So usually around this time of the year, I just kind of shut it down, right? There's no more garage sales. I usually just kind of shut it down and wait until the next season. But this year I've been really trying to push and continue finding new places to find things and more interesting stuff. So it's been a really fun year. It's been a very, very good year so far, and we can keep it going.
It's nice to hear that it is that you're able to acknowledge and just just take a mindful approach, saying, hey, this is a brand new year. This is great. This is what I want to do, and find an aim and focus. And we talk a lot about that sometimes on this show. We can maybe talk about that a little later at length. We're just going to say hi real quick to a couple people that came in. Was Aaron Kluge. Hey, Aaron. Thanks for coming in. And Duncan VR from down under. Now,
wow. Australia. Nice.
All the way down.
Yeah.
Russell's here.
There he is. We get different people from all over, from Australia, from Canada, from and everywhere. So yeah, a lot of people watch us from all over the world.
I say that's one of the really cool things about YouTube, right? It helps to make the world a little bit smaller.
Yes.
That's very, very cool. That's one thing I've definitely noticed with doing YouTube with the guitar.
Oops. I hear an echo. Is that one of? I don't think it's mine. I put mine on mute. Did you?
No, I'm on StreamYard only. So yeah, that's good. I think it was just a little feedback echo. It's fine.
Oh, that's good. Okay. No, I thought I was like, is that my voice?
Yeah, it's not like you. I was like, whoa.
All right. So that's good to know. Just what we're gonna say. So we're gonna assume you're in Ohio, correct?
Yep, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Because you were talking about there's kind of like a shutdown. I mean, is that a seasonal thing, or is it also in light of what's going on today? We just said.
No, it's just usually so garage sale season around here is typically typically April, May through end of August, September or so. So usually right around that time, end of the season, I usually just kind of shut it down. I don't continue trying to find new product, and that's just how I've been doing it, right? It's just I'm part-time, so I don't have to continue doing it.
Yeah.
But
do you have what they call a healthy? I'm sorry to interject. No, just like, do you have a healthy little meaty tiny box of like death pie? So if you want to go to it later.
I don't have a whole lot that I haven't listed. I usually, because I'm a little tight on space, so I usually try to list as soon as I get back from garage sailing, or try to, like, within that next day or so, try to get my things listed. I usually always have to get rid of, though, of course, that just haven't sold. But
how do you go through that process? Like as a reseller, I know you consider yourself part-time, but sometimes, being a part-time reseller, you're doing it all odd times, so it's almost like it's always going on.
It is always going on. That is true. So like for me, typically, if I take a Saturday, for example, we go out garage sailing for 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Come back and unload. If I'm not too tired, I'll try to take all my pictures there. So I do almost everything on my phone, which I don't know if a lot of people do that. But for me, I try to get all my pictures done, get everything on my phone, and that way, if I'm watching a football game or not doing anything, I'm just sitting around, I can be listing it, while I'm doing nothing. So
it's always helpful, like you said, if you could just do certain stages of it. And so, like, you've been doing this for 8 years. So when did you see yourself like consciously kind of like you're, observing yourself? So, and by the way, I'd love to get into how did you come up with that wonderful name? Because for me, it fits into the show. I think it's wonderful. Like, you're obviously a curious person, because the shows I've gotten to watch from you, I really do enjoy them, Brennan. Take it as a compliment or not. And, I do see there's a different way and a different perspective you do things. And one of the things I love is your personality. You're just like, you're not overly hyped about everything. You have fun with it, but you'll come in, and then all of a sudden, like last week or the week before, I'm like, what the heck is he wearing a sombrero for?
Change it up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that, Luis? He had this, but it was an awesome sombrero. Like, somebody really did some embroidery work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, immaculate.
It's
That's
sold
awesome.
for $25.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
They're not cheap, some of them,
No, they're not.
One of my good friends that I met in New York, although it's funny because his family lived in Texas, but his sister lives like north of me in Austin. And he'd always, hey, I'm coming down in Texas. And I was his teacher in art. And I was like, what's going on, Francisco? And he's like, oh, I'm coming down. Would you come visit? My mom wants to see you and your daughter. And I'm like, okay. And then as we discussed, she used to do those. So, from an artistic perspective, that's not easy to me. Yeah, that's crazy. So did you end up selling that?
I did. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
It sold for 25. It sold pretty quickly.
Oh, you sold for 25. Okay. I thought you said you bought it for 25.
No, I think I bought it for, I think 5, maybe 5 or 7. 5 or 7.
Not a bad flip.
No, not bad.
How was the shipping in it? Was it kind of awkward?
It was. It was. I kind of underestimated it when I had listed it, but yeah, it's. I ended up having to Frankenbox it to get it to work. I had two Barnes and Noble boxes. I was able to get it in, and it was.
I love it.
After that.
Oh, let me just say hi real quick. A couple more people come in. Miss Regina Michelle. If you've never seen her channel, talk about Mellow. I love her. You will love her. She's like, she makes me angry because she'll sit there and have up a cooking section. All of a sudden, she goes from reselling and she shifts and she's cooking. And I'm like, oh my God, she's making good food today. Drives me nuts. It's like, no. And her and another good co-host of hers, they have a Wednesday channel show. It's called Wednesday Hump Day. Bargain Resales in the house. Thank you for coming. Appreciate
How you doing, Bargain Resale?
Right on. All right. And there we go. So back to, so you're in, you said Cincinnati, correct?
Yep.
What do you like about that city, and what is the most challenging, would you say, is there?
The most challenging?
Yeah. For like, because as far as a reseller goes, like shopping.
So the most challenging thing about being a reseller in Cincinnati is the Cincinnati PICKER also lives in Cincinnati. It's in.
I wasn't gonna say.
I'm kind of kidding, but not really. Like there are definitely times where we'll hit the same neighborhood. I'll see him coming from a house with a box full of stuff, and I'm like,
oh man,
I'm driving. I'm not even going to waste my time. I'm going to keep going.
Because he's probably cleaned it up, knowing him.
Oh yeah. No, but
that's funny.
Really, in Cincinnati, it's really pretty. It's pretty chill. Like it's really not. As far as reselling goes, I can almost always find something.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is not just because of like, who you mentioned, John, and stuff like that. But I do want to say, I laughed the first time I met you. I didn't know. I forgot. I think I forgot, and I didn't realize you were associated with him. And I went, oh, he's akin to him. And then all I remember was you made a comment like, oh, I think John was here or something. And I went, oh, I'm putting two. I'm like putting two and two together, and I'm like, yeah, that would be an inherent challenge, Yeah. But like, would you say the weather is something that gets in your way?
I mean, really, it's just
talking about closures, right? Yeah, or were we talking about behind the closed?
It's just the end of the season. Once it gets cold enough, people stop having sales for the most part. So you're not going to find a whole lot of volume sales.
Okay. So mostly full timers would probably have a bigger qualm about that.
Yeah, unless you're a seasoned full timer and you've got, you've got to be able to find other ways of finding inventory outside of garage sales as a full timer. So I'm not a full timer, so I'm not there yet. But
that's the pro and the con, right? So doing that. But like you were talking about upping your game. So let's talk about it from since we're mindful merchants. We used to call ourselves Mondays mindful merchants, and that was kind of driving everybody nuts. And it was like a triple M, like Monday mindful, like what? And mindful merchants. So like, part of our strategy of the show is what strategies do you have? Mental strategies, like, you were talking about upping your game. You've been doing this for 8 years. What do you see that works for you successfully? Like, have you been sourcing in a different fashion, like not just strictly going to a yard sale or going to an estate sale, or moving sales are my favorite.
No, I love moving sale. So I'll say it's a couple of things. One is really trying to think outside the box with finding different items that no one's looking for, right? Because everyone knows to look for video games. There are certain things that you just know to look for. And those things they're gone, almost all the time. They're gone right away. So really thinking outside the box. So one of the things this year that I've bought a bunch of is Bibles. No one ever buys them. They're almost usually free or $1 at sales. And the old leather-bound Bible.
And they're always in demand.
Yeah. And you can sell them. You can sell them for $15-20 easy. Almost everyone I've got so far is between $12 and $20.
Wow.
And some are a lot more. But so that's one of the things, just kind of thinking outside the box. And that goes back to the question you asked about how I got my name.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So I started picking with John 8 years ago. And he would always say, like, said, your strongest trait is your curiosity. So I took that, and then obviously Picker is naturally. So I just put those two together. And that's how I came together.
It was easy as that. That's good.
Yeah, super easy. Super organic. Just came together like that.
I love when things kind of like meld together organic. Like, I was fussing over my name, and I'm like, well, why am I overthinking this? I'm in the state of Texas, and what do they call state? Lone Star.
Yep.
So I was like, and I looked it up real quick. There was only one other person that's called Lone Star Picker, but guess what? They were a musician. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh man. But then the guy wasn't active for years. I'm like, well, I'll be the. So I noticed that about you. There was a couple other guests we had like the. So, no, but you're not. I thought you are the Curious Picker, aren't you?
I don't know. Maybe I am.
I remember now. I want to say you were the. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overthinking it too. But I could have sworn you were the Curious Picker. But
yeah, you're probably right. No, yeah, you're right. I am the.
So that distinguishes you from all the other Curious Pickers. But you are the Curious Picker.
Like,
ladies and gentlemen, you have them here. So real quick, I'm gonna Pete, we got about 14 people in the chat. Some's got to say hi. We thank you. Our lovely Regina's shown up, and our lovely Nana Tink Treasures. She's known as Trish, aka.
Hello, Nana.
Good to have you, Nana. She's a really inspiring part of our community. If you get to know her and watch, she's just simple, but like she's so pleasurable, and she's full of knowledge. She'll say no, I'm not, but she's been around the block. She knows her stuff. We got Sam By. Thank you. Love your dog. Woof woof. Fellows Brand. Oh,
go Browns.
There we
go Browns.
Yeah, we invited a Browns fan. Louis and I said whatever.
Yeah. I mean, really, you're not a Kansas City Chiefs fan, right?
Woo-woo.
Exactly.
Well, I will give him a little credit. You know what's fun is for everybody I love to give a hard time. And that, by the way, I'm playful. I'm not trying to be facetious. But there is a Texan in there. I think he was from A&M, where my nephew went. The Red Raiders. So. Was it Mahomes? Yeah, he went to school in Texas. So.
He's so good.
Gosh, the guy is like a powerhouse. Yeah, go ahead. I want to hear you. Give me your perspective a little bit. Let's talk.
On Mahomes?
Yeah.
He's
when you first really experienced. Did you experience him in college football, or when he was mostly in NFL?
NFL. I didn't. For whatever reason, I used to love college football, and year over year, I just kind of fallen off of watching college football.
Well, you got a family, right?
Yes, a pretty big one. So yeah, I do spend my Sundays watching NFL football, so I had to give up one of them. So I gave up college.
And you know what? And you got to have for yourself too. Like if you're working full time on the job, and you got a family, and you got your part-time little gig, as a resale. Yeah, you got to have that. You got to have a little football, NFL time or so. Okay. If that's what you like, unless you like basketball or baseball or something.
I like baseball as well. But yeah, Mahomes is probably the best quarterback I think that I've seen. Just he just does things you're not supposed to be able to do, and he makes it look so easy.
Yep, that's true.
Every single time, and it's like you can watch a game and you never think they're going to lose.
Especially like in those final seconds when he's like really highly pressured, and you see him slip that, like, what? How do you And it's like I watch, like we were talking, like Luis and I, we love our Raiders and we love Carr, and there's some times like when we saw him twice play against him this year, it was like the second game almost seemed like he was pulling some home moves and vice versa. I don't know, but then again, they lost against them, and they're cleaning up here. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
You like baseball too, as well, right? So.
I do like baseball. My wife's a big baseball fan. So
who does she like? Is it okay to say?
Yeah, Reds fan. So,
never mind. I should have known.
So
that was a dumb question, but hey, what about you, Brennan?
Oh, I'm a Reds fan as well.
Oh, you did say okay. I just my well, I won't tell you who Luis loves, and are you wearing your hat? No, he's been wearing his Mickey Mouse Anaheim hat. All year. If you watch some of our early episodes, nothing but Dodgers, and I'm telling you, he had pins like left and right. He's like calling Louie. I'm like, what's up? And I'm like, what's the matter? Is it an emergency? Do you got any of those things that are, because they're playing up in at Dallas? You got any of those pins? Because I'm like, no, I don't have. I'm down in Austin, so it's like, trying to find that stuff. It's like, no, never mind. I got them. It was so.
Yeah, my dad's a Dodgers fan, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he loves the Dodgers. I got a little bit. I have some family out there in LA as well. My Uncle Greg lives out in California. He's a Dodgers fan as well.
Oh, then you know it well. You know a Dodgers heart.
Well,
it's awesome. Right. We got a Knight's Life in here. His name is Richard, but I don't know. I end up calling him Richie, and he's from the UK. So,
nice.
Richie, say hi to Brennan. You got to you guys like and subscribe down below in my link before you guys leave. Check out, Brennan has a YouTube channel. If you have not become familiar with him, watch him. Give him a little bit of a chance. He's got a unique style, in my opinion. This is my perspective. You may, everybody vibes differently, but if you watch, he's got a lot to teach you just by his way of I think you snipe sometimes. You're really good because your demeanor when you go in. I've watched a lot of other resellers. Some of them can be aggressive. You're just kind of like, you always act like you're thinking about something, which you are.
Usually.
And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but we as resellers, what do? We got to comp. We got to like size things up. You got to come in. You don't want to make a commotion too much.
Oh yeah.
But you got a really good vibe about it, and I'm gratefully appreciative. It's like, so you were talking Bibles. Mm-hmm. I want to say, help me out remembering this. Was it on Instagram? You showed this really, really old antique Bible.
Yes.
Do you remember anything about that you could tell us?
Yeah, it was a Do I in Rhymes Bible. It was
that turn of the century?
It was 1800s. Yeah, I think it was like 1883 or something along those lines. It was awesome. Like it had like a little gold clasp buckle on it. Mm-hmm. Very, very ornate. It was not in the best of condition. It was pretty torn up, but it was free.
You got it for free. Wow.
For free. Yeah. And that was the first Bible this year, and that's the first thing that kind of started me looking at Bibles.
At least kind of like really going, hey, here we go.
Yeah, there could be something here. So yeah, it was free. I think in great condition, it could have sold for maybe $300 to $400. The condition it was in, it still sold for $150.
Is that the type? I think I want to say I found one. It did have a clasp, and it was kind of around that time. Mine may have been like early 1900s, but it was like it's like a vellum on the top, and it turns yellow or something. It looks Victorianish or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It was like maroon, and then the cross was kind of a set cross that was gold. Excuse me. Yeah, it was a really, really awesome Bible.
Nice. We got Matt Romero in here. This guy's a subject matter expert. If you don't know him, Brennan, he's awesome. Matt Romero. He's I would say he's sort of new to the reselling community, but this guy has been around the block. He's in California too. He was at a location. There's this gentleman by the name of I think it's Auction Storage Pirates, or if I'm saying his name right. This guy's kind of got a big following, and he mostly does like storage auctions. But one day he was at a flea market, and I guess I call him Mateo, but Matt was there. And when he was opening a bag, he pulls out one of these things, and he opens it up, shakes it. It's a shirt, tie-dye. Guess what it was? Grateful Dead.
Oh man.
Pulls out another one and keeps pulling them out, and he like goes, "Oh, forget this," and he puts the bag. How much? He goes, "How much are these shirts?" And the guy's like, "This price." "How much do you want for the whole bag?" And so he calls Mateo. Mateo like freaked out. Turns out, supposedly, long story short, the guy had enough. He went and found another truckload that this guy says, "I have more if you want them." Yeah, like no brainer, you know. Yeah, this stuff was dead stock, and it was from the 90s, single stitch, just crazy graphics and rare ones.
That'd be unbelievable.
It's like one of those like you kind of dream about. And you're thinking, he ended up buying property, in a place in California. I was like, what? He had a special buyer, private buyer. I'm like, this is crazy. Wow. What is your dream one wish find? Like you would kind of like, wow, that would be mega crazy if I would find something like that. Do you have anything?
I don't know that I've
contemplated that.
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
Not even like a musical instrument or something? Or?
I mean, if I could find like a Trey Anastasio's guitar, the guitars from Fish, like one of his used guitars, that'd be pretty amazing for sure.
I was gonna say, I thought I saw in there. So Luis and I, one thing we have in common is we both have music and whatnot. Yep. We're both like family men. You're a family man too, right?
Yep.
That brings me. I think Luis had a question. Did you wanna jump in, Louie?
Yeah, definitely. So how with working a regular job and doing the reselling part time, how do you juggle everything? With being a dad and a family man, and when you got everything going on at once?
That's a good question. So luckily my wife and I both are fortunate enough to work from home.
Awesome. Okay. That's awesome.
Right. Well, right now we didn't used to, obviously, but once everything happened, we work from home. So we've kept the kids home as well. So generally, what I'll do, I'll go garage sailing kind of early by myself, then come back and pick up the kids and the wife, and then we'll all go together.
Okay.
So really trying to make them a part of a lot of it as we kind of go through it. And my wife, she's very supportive. She loves to go to garage sales. She likes to pick as well. She's outpicked me a couple of times this year.
Learn from her.
We do a lot of it together, which I think is pretty much the way to kind of keep it, keep that group together, is being able to do some of the stuff together.
I love that. Yeah. Like I was talking to Luis, Brennan, and I was thinking, well, Luis is like kind of got this different perspectives. His wife, I mean, is that okay if I mention Luis?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
his wife works not necessarily in the house. She's in the medical industry. She's a nurse, if I may say. And so that's arduous in and of itself enough. You know what I mean? But if you're like at home, like this guy, I mean, this guy is a powerhouse. He does this full time. He's playing principal, teacher, dad, and then like on top of that, you're trying to do full-time resale. I don't know, so hearing you being able to arduously balance, I think that's awesome. And one of my concerns for like Luis, I always say, dude, do you have your own time? Because you're with the kids, no disrespect, because the kids need you, and it's awesome relationship. And that's actually a time that we can count as a blessing, being fathers, that we get to have our kids with us, even though it's a very demanding time. Something to be mindful of.
Yep.
To be mindful is to be aware and conscious. Like, this is what's going on. I'm frustrated. So like getting that time. So you do get a little time, like you said. You get up earlier sometime, maybe, and go do the picking, right?
Yep. Yeah. So during here recently during the work weeks, I'll get up maybe 6:30ish, 7. And if I've got things I need to get packed up, I'll get those packed up and do that while everyone's sleeping before I start actual work.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just a balancing act. If I get,
when you're a parent, it's a whole different ball game. And sometimes schedules are like, scratch that. This ain't going to happen. A child gets sick or hurt or whatever, or just not in the mood. They're not having it. You got to respect them.
No.
Would you mind if you ask? Go ahead. No, go ahead, Brennan.
I would say as a part-timer, I think that's the one benefit I have over people that are doing it full time is I don't have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like I can say, okay, you know what, this month we've got too much going on. I'm just going to shut it down. I'm not going to do it. And that's an option I have.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't take that for granted. I'm not sure how the full timers do it.
Yeah, it's you know, we talk to a lot of them. That's why we like to have this show. It's like when we do have some full timers, we dig in deep, like on those kind of questions, like how do you deal with stress? How do you deal with, you know, different aspects of this? You know, another thing we like to talk about is mental well-being. You know, it doesn't necessarily deal with mental health, which it can, and we're open to always having talks with anybody who comes on. You know, like if they go, yeah, I deal with, you know, like one of our first guests, she dealt with a lot of PTSD, but how does that affect your reseller nature, like where you're doing this and this is like, it's hard. Sometimes you get a trigger and you're like, I got to hyper focus, you know, but she says like for her, reselling has become kind of her meditation, you know, it's kind of like a form of just, it's a way she can hyper focus and like zap out whatever's, you know, negative or whatever's just troubling her or something like that, or challenge, you know.
Yeah.
And so do you have anything that you consider like a form of meditation that you like to do that brings you kind of solace?
I don't know if I'd say it's meditation, but I mean, obviously playing guitar, I definitely like to do that to chill out.
Well, you got to meditate on it. It's not necessarily per se a form of meditation like, you know, Buddhism or something like that, or whatever. People consider prayer a form of meditation, I guess, too. But but like, you know, I think being a musician. So you're a musician too, as well.
I mean, I wouldn't say sorta.
I heard a couple jingles, dude. You blew me away. I was like, oh my God, not only does he plays blues. You know, you were playing some pretty rich stuff. It was good.
Yeah, I've been playing guitar for a while, so I love playing guitar. I think if I could go back and change anything, I played saxophone and piano when I was like fourth through sixth grade.
Nice.
But I was kind of forced to play it, and so I ended up stopping. That's the one thing, if I could do, I would go back and do that over again. I would have just played forever. But at that time, I didn't know the music that I know now. Like, you know, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star wasn't really hitting it the way some of the music that I know now. So had I known it then,
Little Bo Peep wasn't going to cut it.
Yeah, wasn't feeling that. But yeah,
I'm sure you can put it in a blues context and really, you know, rasp it up a little bit. No, you had a nice one. I don't know if you saw it, Luis. He had Brennan was like, it just was, you know, he was mellowing out with his guitar, and I thought, and I could see your hyper focus. So I loosely use the term meditation, and so like I don't, you know, but some people, I've talked to a lot of musicians in the past too, and they go, it is our quiet space. You know, you just, even when I'm like so sick of it, like guys that play like big gigs and they're like constantly going in concert. Like if I meet a band I like to pick their brain. Speaking of Fish, what is the name? Is there one lead singer or is there two? I'm trying to remember.
There's one. Trey Anastasio.
Yeah, that's the guy I saw. I saw him, but he does solo stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Guess what happened last year, Brennan? I didn't even know it was him, and because I don't remember names that well at the time. And my friend goes, hey, I wanted to thank you because we went to go, you know, I took him to see a kind of a bluesy rock singer, and he's from Austin, Texas. His name is Black Joe Lewis, and he's really good, but he's kind of he's a little more hardcore blues, you know, like just rocks out towards the end he does. And then he's like, hey, I want to take you. I got free tickets to go to Austin City Limits. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, but we're going to take a bus. I'm like, why? Well, I got my bicycle, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm like, we'll do it, you know. I go see it. I didn't realize it was the lead singer of Fish. So I was just like, what? Dude, it was one of the best performances I've ever seen. And I was just blown away. Like he was just, gosh, his band was awesome. He was amazing. Yeah,
he is fantastic.
Why Fish? What was your introduction? Like how'd you get into it?
Let's see here. Where do I start the introduction of Fish? Well, it started with the Allman Brothers.
Nice.
The first time I heard the album "Eat a Peach" by the Allman Brothers, I was in high school, and I was like, "Wow, this is pretty amazing." Okay. Then I started listening to the Grateful Dead. Listened to them quite a lot.
Oh, wow.
Then there was a band And
real quick on the Grateful Dead note, if I can, I want you to hold that thought real quick.
Yeah.
Mateo that was in here, let me show you. I'm going to highlight. He said it was 1,100 shirts.
Oh my god,
they were Grateful Dead, dude. Dead stock. I'll send you the link later one day. But so back to you got them. Yeah. In the first part of the video, I don't know if they ever showed the other part, but there's some other anyway. So let me just skip that. So you were into Allman Brothers, you said, right?
Yep. So
then you a little bit. I'm sure you had other groups you like, but what brought you to Grateful Dead? Because and like you said, you lived. Did you live in California, or is just your some of your family was there?
Just some of my family? No, yeah, I've always lived in Cincinnati.
Okay, because like Luis and I, we're from Cali, and like if you don't know the Grateful Dead, and I grew up in the Bay Area, so my uncle nothing but black light posters and stuff.
Yep.
But so who was this after this? You mentioned.
So Allman Brothers. Then I started listening to the Grateful Dead. And then there's a group in Ohio called Acoustic Hookah. They were
Acoustic Hookah.
Acoustic Hookah. Yep.
Okay.
I can type it. They were.
That's cool.
All right. They were kind of my first foray into the live shows since they were in Ohio. They were always in Cincinnati or Columbus or Dayton. And they were same kind of vibe as the Grateful Dead, different shows, 2 sets, extended jams, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I started seeing them, and a lot of my friends, I got them involved in it. And then we started going to their festivals, and from there just kind of branched out. People were talking about Fish, and I hadn't really heard Fish, but they came in Cincinnati in December of '99. And I went.
You got to see them still pretty early on,
Yeah. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
I saw them in '99 for the first time, and then I've lost count of how many shows I've seen now.
Seriously, you've seen quite a few. Wow.
Oh yeah.
You'll still go see them if you can ever. So, in light of this whole pandemic thing, would you consider going to movie theaters again, or because things are changing, and it's kind of like it's something to contemplate. Like, I don't know how I want to. I haven't really talked too much about this with Luis, but we're always talking about like safety, and he reminds me, like when his wife comes in, like tells me that she's got to like change her whole gear, it's like all the nurses you hear about these stories, and it's like, wow, and we know the strain is still, anyway, not to get in that subject, but it's like, what about concerts?
Yeah, that's a great question. We really want to go to a concert again. Like really, really want to go to concerts again. It's a wait and see. We got to see how things shake out. Right now, I think a lot of those bands, they've done a great job in providing some sort of live music, whether it be streams of their old shows or Trey just did. He did a weekly residency at the Beacon in New York. So he was doing a show every Friday.
I love the Beacon. Yeah, I saw so many good people. I saw Tom Waits there once at the Beacon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know if you know Tom. You know about Tom Waits, right?
I do. Yeah. That's the most unique voice, probably.
Yeah. And you know what? Once he gained a little more respect, and he kind of refined about how his vocabulary comes out of his voice is his instrument. Although did he's got one of the biggest collection of instruments. He's now, I think, up somewhere in the West Coast, but he had one of the biggest collection of actual physical instruments. But like his voice to me was always like the epitome of his instrument. He was out there. Yeah.
Yep.
Beacon. So he had how long was his residency at the Beacon?
I want to say he did it for, it was either a month or 2 months. He would just do a show every Friday.
Okay.
So he did. He would have his Trey Anastasio band come out one night. He did some stuff with an orchestra one night. It was awesome. It was really, really cool stuff.
The thing I learned about him, he's just the diversity. Well, my friend had to confirm this with me. He goes, "You're just getting this?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, dude. Like, I love Fish, but I didn't realize how much, I actually did. I want to say I came close to catching one because at Austin City Limits, they did come here like way back. A festival, not the actual. Anyway. And, it's like, but when I heard him, I was just like, this guy he's the way he speaks to the other musicians through his music.
Oh yeah.
And they're just so like, you see there's just this parallel that connects. It's like, So I guess we can go on about music.
We definitely could.
That's fun. So let me just give a couple of hellos. I put this up here. Sam iPad. Are you familiar with him, Luis? He's like, need a concert ASAP. But yeah. And then we got Russ that we said hi to. And this is Fundamentals of Side Hustling. All right, Derek, thank you for coming in, man. I'm glad you are here. I hope you got some rest after last night. He did a
great auction last night, Derek.
Second online auction. He was really kind. He invited me on his first one. Derek's got the knack for it, man. Let me tell you, So if you're looking for different ways to source stuff, Brennan, what you can do is there's, I know you're aware of it, but it's like, there's online auctions, but YouTube people are doing it too. It's kind of interesting.
I have not looked into that. I might have to check that out. And
it's kind of interesting. Yeah. There's like a lot of local ones, but then there's like our little sub communities, and most bubbles will cross. Once they hear, an auction, they'll come in and peek and do you got any baseball cards, or do you got this? And they wait, and they count when the price is right. And then, I bought stuff from Luis, and like, man, I got some crazy stuff coming to me.
That's awesome.
Luis is the king of auctions. I don't know if you know this, but we were talking about diversifying. Let's talk about this, like a way of diversifying your sources of income, so you can have multiple sources of income. Like Luis is. Why don't you talk, Luis? Tell them about what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I have multiple streams of income. I am a full-time reseller. I also do my auctions every Tuesday night.
Oh, nice.
I also have a gumball candy vending machine business that I have for my kids.
Oh, wow.
To show them how, to make money and how, putting in work.
Tell them where that money goes. It doesn't go in your pocket.
It doesn't go in my pocket. It just goes into their bank accounts.
That's awesome.
So this is all, saving up for their college and for their future, whatever once they turn 18, to use it for their tuition and all that. Yeah. So, but they're having fun. They were having fun doing it before all the pandemic stuff happened.
Yeah.
Because I was taking them with me to clean the machines and fill them up with the gumballs and pulling out all the quarters. And then my main thing is I also do wholesale pallets.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that's all my different streams of income that I do. The gumball machine, not so much. I mean, I do invest in it, but it's for my kids' future. Yeah. So
it's kind of a learning experience for them, and just kind of give them a good positive side. Like, hey, this is something you can do. Educating your kids. How do you mind if we ask you how old your children are? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Luis, do you do garage sales out there as well, or mostly just pallets and?
No, I mean, I have buyers that I sell to. I have my regular customers already, because I've been doing it for a while now. So I have like a steady, amount of customers that buy pallets from me, that sell at the flea markets or at the swap meets, what they call them out here in California. Yeah. So, and there is another man that does buy from me that has his own brick and mortar store also, and he buys pallets of toys from me as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Let me not to brag for Luis, but I guess I'll brag for him anyway. But he's my buddy. Is that like he's taught me so much, and I'm just like, dude, I need to get on. We'll get you on that bandwagon one day. And I've been looking around here for the right guy at the right time, but there's things that are holding me up, but to see that you can do something like that, and you go, that it's not that you can do that, and you can figure it out. Is that, can you do it and have a quick turnover? Like when I asked Luis, he's very nice and gracious to answer me questions like, how soon does this guy get here? Well, we set up this day. And then I'm like, oh, okay, you got this day. And how long does it take you? It won't sit there more than 2 hours, and then it's all gone.
And like, all gone.
Wow. What's the most pallets you had this year, would you say?
56 pallets.
What?
56 pallets.
Jeez.
Oh, Jesus. You were doing 23 or 24, like, yeah. Holy moly.
But once the holidays got closer and Christmas, with the whole Christmas and everything coming, the order started to double. So as much as I was bringing them in, I was getting them right back out. So
wow, you're a giant, man. You're wow. Blows me away.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, but it's different, like, because when you're looking at somebody who's got to do this full time, how do you balance your family? How do you do it in this way? I'm glad it's like, that's awesome, Luis. You got like something that works in your system and stuff.
Yep.
Like one day, would you think you'd ever consider doing this full time? Let's say if your job for some reason went away for a little while, or let's say you retired,
Oh, me?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Brennan. The question's to you.
Absolutely. Right now, my job is very good.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to have it. So
Awesome.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't quit it right now to do this full time, but I could definitely see this being a an early retirement plan, if you will. Get some things taken care of, pay it off, and then be able to do this full time.
And doing something, I'm assuming as much that you do really take pleasure in doing it, right?
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah, absolutely.
So being mindful of like understanding, you're like, yeah, I mean, this comes second nature. I mean,
I'll be right back, Louie. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead, do your thing. And just having it where it's there, and like you already said, like this thing or this aspect of it, I won't take it for granted. It's like, but like you said, that would be a nice little like supplement to your retirement plan.
Oh yeah.
It's like you're really good at it, and then you can like at one point, do you ever see yourself like just being a little more laser? How am I putting this? Laser vision, kind of like tunnel, like into a certain specific. Like all I really care about is this. I want to. And if you do find other bolos, you'll pick them up, I'm sure. But
I don't. No, I think
whatever comes. Huh?
Yeah, I really like finding different things. I like that part of it a lot. I like the hunt of it a lot. See, I don't see myself focusing in on one particular thing.
Okay. Well, at least not right now, huh?
Yeah,
unless there's something.
Yeah, unless something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll become a Bible salesman. Who knows?
Hey, a very specific one. It's funny because in light of today, like with technology and stuff, and I know it's kind of a redundant conversation to have or a subject to bring up, but like when the whole brick and mortars were closing down, like Barnes and Noble and a lot of the bookstores and stuff, we saw the division of like Amazon coming in full force, and they still are. Like, it wasn't just a book division. It's now like, let's take over the world division kind of atmosphere. At least it feels like. That's my exaggeration of it. But, I think books, are you a book person? Because like for me, I'm a person that I love ephemera. Like that's a specialty I have. I like to say I'm a subject matter to some extent, at least with certain things like art prints I'm good at.
Okay.
There's certain types of books I become somehow I've always felt a kin, and I like books since I was a kid, spending time in libraries and whatnot. You a book reader?
Not so much anymore. My wife loves reading. We've got quite a few books in the library, but
sure.
I would rather
always an issue too.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
I'd rather play guitar or play chess than read a book at this point. That being said, I will read a chess book. So, but yeah, I mean, I do like to read. But just right now, there's other things I prefer more than reading. So
there's something. So like, if you're a reseller and you're out doing your hunt, have you you found any books on chess that you're like, oh, I didn't know about that?
This is a great segue into the video I just put out yesterday. So on Saturday, I was going to pick up a Christmas present for my wife in Dayton. So I looked on the yard sale app before I went up there, and there was a Dayton Chess Club that's been there for years. And unfortunately, that building is closing, and they lost their lease, so they were having a sale and getting rid of everything.
You mean they're closing for good?
Yeah. The building's sold, and they have to be out by the end of the year.
So this is something in history, and it's gone now.
Yep.
Wow. So you made it there to Dayton?
Yeah. Yep. I went up there Saturday.
Okay.
I loaded up my car for about, I think I spent, it was like $80 on resale stuff and about $20 on stuff I wanted to keep.
Most definitely. Yeah.
And then I went back on Sunday. Once I came back with everything and started looking things up, I was like, yeah, I should have bought more. So I reached out.
It's hard to say, like, what? Yeah, because like at the time, you're probably like, there's an itch in you, like, okay, what can I sell? Oh, but wait a minute, if you, like you said, inadvertently, you love chess.
Yeah,
you want to learn more about it. That's probably the curious aspect of you that other people have noticed about you a lot. But it had to be before somebody said, hey, that's one quality I've known about you. I mean, what do you recognize, Brennan? Like, what would you say, I know it's always the risk of sounding immodest, but I mean, there's got to be a time when you were younger where you realize, at least in retrospect, if I may ask, here's my question for you. What would you say, like, when you really saw it, like it started clicking, like you noticed your observation skills were like up to par, like you realize, oh, this is an essential part of growing up, or this is something that could be, it's like a tool, or it's like an advantage, just observation technique,
That's a really good question.
I mean, as young as you can remember. I mean, in forms of it,
I don't know. That's a great question. I know. So
maybe I went high school. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I went to Jamaica with my brother when I think I was 18.
Okay.
And he had been there a couple times before, and he was hanging out with some of the locals. So we spent a lot of time with one of the locals there. It's really, really smart guy. And he basically just nicknamed me the Observer. He was like, this guy is just always observing and just has that kind of curious look to him. So that could have been where that sort of started to click.
That could have been the planting of the seed, of like really kind of going, there it is. That is the pre whoever told you, whether it was John or who, you know what I mean. Yep. And it's like, there it is. It's like a gift almost when somebody kind of like, hey, they're acknowledging your being. You know what I'm saying? Which is your true essence of who you are. That's like, it's really nice. Yeah. It
was pretty cool, because I think someone else had said that you're really quiet, but that guy said, no, he's not quiet. He's just an observer. And I was like, I like that guy. I think he's right.
I like that you said that and used the word quiet, because I come from a community it's a contemplative community, if you want to call it that, and we don't mind that title. We've been labeled that. But it's just, it's a spiritual community. There is a religious aspect to it. It's not, like anything funky or anything, but it gets some derivatives of, Catholicism, but it's like, very open-minded, but it's like very much about like kind of a monastic tradition of like silence is okay, but like in terms of solitude. So like in solitude, you can observe, you know what I mean? And so where you kind of quiet the mind, you're chilling out. You're kind of like, that's where your contemplation techniques can kind of like, that's when the true observation, aspect of just being able to like really see something for what it is and just say, oh, look at that. If I didn't watch that, I would never learn. That's what that's about, or something,
Yep. So
it seems like you're a lifelong learner. Do you remember doing that as a kid, just kind of navel gazing or, staring at the stars or anything? Or?
I've always been kind of off into the distance, kind of staring and just always just randomly, just thinking random things and always kind of inside my head a lot of the time. Yeah, for sure.
Did you write in books or anything? Like, did you keep journals or?
No, I was never much of a writer.
Okay.
Wrote a few songs, but never, that's not my writing.
Sounds like more poetic, which to me, it's like one of the biggest quotes I remember that I grew up with. I studied art for a while, but I was more of a visual artist as opposed to a musical or a performance artist or something, a dancer or somebody. But like, I remember, the cliche is like everybody thinks of when they think visual artists, they think Picasso and this and that. And so I remember when I was really, really young, it may have been high school or something. My teacher was like, well, write a report, and I'm like, oh man, an essay. So, and it's like, I did do it. And I remember when somebody asked him a question, I found this book I was reading. I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. And then they pinpointed him into like a corner, and they were like, who is your favorite artist? And he's like, oh gosh, what a question. Like, it's like these broad questions that people ask you. And it's not to be facetious or rude. And like, seriously, but it's like, well, what specifically do you mean? Like, what is my favorite artist? Like, that's like I said, broad visual art, performing, whatever. And he was like, do I really have to answer this? Like, no. If you had to pick who your favorite artist, like, what would it be? Like, in terms of subject, like, and he goes, it'd probably be a poet. And they're like, really? You're a visual artist. Why would you pick poets? And he says, it takes that same poet to verbalize what we're doing, Gotcha. And it's like they're observers, he said. They're contemplators. They see things, but they have the verbal, articulation to sit there and really tell you what it is you're looking at. But he says, then, he got kind of smart and he goes, but at the same time, it takes a visual artist to visualize what the poet's been trying to say.
The whole time, yeah. No, I like that.
So it was kind of a fun thing. So there, you probably are this poetic. Obviously, seems like you have the roots of music that go back as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you dislike about, other than like being pushed? What did you like about specifically with the saxophone? You said you did piano too, right?
Oh yeah, piano and I don't think I really liked any of them at the time.
Okay.
It was just, hey, you got to do something. So you got a teacher, and let's do it. I didn't. Yeah, it was. Yeah, like I said, if I could change something, that would be it. I would have maybe if they would have given me a teacher that knew who the Grateful Dead was at the time, and he taught me one of those songs, maybe things would be different. But maybe not. Maybe it would have been like, maybe I would have felt that was forcing it too much still. So, and I would have just rejected that too. So,
yeah, when it comes to music too, it's like you said, it's very, it's well, any art is very. I was talking to a friend, actually, Mo's in here. His name is Resell Niche. I don't know if he's still here. Mo, if you're still here, hey, he says howdy, folks, and he does some lives once in a while and what have you. And long story short, I guess what I was trying to say is, being that art's so subjective. So like you were talking about like saxophone. I'm thinking one of the first early things of saxophone, like if you grew up, like I kind of grew up in the 80s more so. I remember 70s a lot as my uncle. So like Grateful Dead and whatnot, and whatever, experiences of music you had, Santana or what, but you remember what the 80s did to the saxophone. That syrupy kind of, and it's like either in a Tina Turner song or whatever it is, or something like, oh my gosh, this is so 80s, it's like, it's like, it's not what you think. Like, so I remember there was a group called Tower of Power in San Francisco, and they had the best horn section, and it's like, wow, these guys, and they played with many, many bands since, I want to say, I don't know if they played with the Doobie Brothers. I may be wrong, but, stuff like that was just, it's like, kind of goes off on that. Luis, do you got anything that's coming to mind for Brennan, or just,
No, I mean, I know he's a musician and he plays, the guitar and all that stuff. And I know someone had mentioned that blues is not just something you play; it's something that you need to feel, and it's something that's within you. It's not just anybody could play it.
Yeah.
Because I have a cousin that's a musician, but he plays like heavy metal music and rock music, and he says that a lot of people don't understand that concept, that a musician is not just you pick up the guitar and just play. It's just you need to feel the music, and the music has to feel you. So
that's really,
I mean, I know you say you like the blues music and stuff. Is that your preferred music to play, or that's just?
Well, actually, I may have said blues. I don't know if Brennan said.
What kind of music do you prefer to play? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I like to play a lot, but mostly, I mean, so I learned, like I'm self-taught. I can't really read music very well. I can read it really, really slowly, but not fluently.
Better than me, my mandolin.
I mean, I learned how to play. Like, I love improvisation, so I would throw on a Grateful Dead concert and just try to find a groove somewhere and just kind of mess around with it. So I like to do that a lot. And then I love playing like acoustic finger picking, like mellow kind of Bob Dylan type stuff.
Really?
Okay. But yeah, I'll play a little bit of anything, honestly.
I got a challenge for you, Brennan. Maybe you already know it. Do you know Joni Mitchell?
I do know. I know who she is. I don't think
so
I know.
I've never really been a big fan of her, but when one day, so during Christmas time, they happen to have a bad habit of playing this one song by her. It's called River, and I'll never forget when one day I was like, I get it, and I've heard her. And then all of a sudden, I heard another musician do a rendition of it. His name was CeeLo. I don't know if you know who CeeLo is.
Oh yeah.
And so, massive, beautiful voice. Like Mo and I were talking about him a little bit too. And I saw him when he was at the group called Gnarls Barkley.
Yep.
A guy named Danger Mouse, I think it is. But anyway, so but I also saw him solo. But I'll never forget that guy's voice. Something else. He did a Radiohead song that just blew me away. But one day I'm floating through the thing, and because I guess I watched Joni Mitchell's song called River, he did this variation on it. It was just, I don't know how to explain it. It was like this experience. Yeah, it was something else. So do you think you could, I'd love to hear you play that, in a bluesy kind of like version, just like it's a unique song. It does have words, but I mean, just to play the chords on it, I mean, that would just be something else. It's listen to it
by
first.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, it's called River. Yeah, it's a classic by her. And like when I saw other musicians, and then it turns out it wasn't just CeeLo. There's all these other musicians going. She you know what she's contributed to like music. It's like she's a storyteller. She is one of these that did it. And one of the guys that she took was from we were talking about jazz and talking about saxophone and stuff. There's this group called Weather Station, I think it was called. But the bassist, and if you know, his name is Jaco Pastorius. He did it. He jumped on one of Joni Mitchell's album like towards the end of the 70s, early 80s. And I mean, this guy is just look up the documentary on Jaco Pastorius. I think it's just called Jaco. And unfortunately lived a tragic life, but he was like this bassist that just him and her like elevated. It was just like this weird dialogue, the way her voice went and his bass guitar, because he played a bass guitar, not like it was a bass. It was just like, it was almost like he was playing a guitar. It was just like hearing him and like some of the best bassists in like all of history. Like I remember watching this documentary, Sting, Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean, you name it. There's all these guys that are bass players who are like mentioned. This guy from Who, what? I mean, just it was crazy. They're like, yeah, Jaco, yeah, it's his own little thing. So it's like getting into that vibe. Do you think any of that stuff, just being able to have that vibration, somehow it makes you a better reseller? It sounds like a dorky question, but
I think so. I mean, to me, reselling, it's all about just having an open mind, right? Like, and music definitely does that as well. You have to have an open mind if you're playing improvisation, right? To just kind of figure out where to go next. So I do think that plays a little bit into the reselling for sure.
I actually appreciate hearing that, like open mind, because like one of our mantras at our community is open mind, open heart. Like if you go into a situation, what has been like your biggest struggle as a reseller? Let's say when you're going in to hunt for a deal or something like that. What has been your biggest challenge, and what has been like one of your better strengths in terms of just like being able to find something? Whether you're in a group or by yourself or whatever.
That's another good question. I don't want to say that reselling has always been easy, but I think I think it goes back to knowing that it's kind of a fun side hustle hobby thing that I don't have to do. I don't typically stress out too much about any types of deals, honestly. If I don't get something at that sale, I'll get something at the next one, or later on.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great attitude to have. I think resellers always have this FOMO at some point, like,
Yep.
And I remember one time, like, I don't have to go. I look down at my death pile and I'm like, you know what? I have more than probably most people have. I'll go for 6 months and I could be on lockdown. I'll go stir crazy, but hey, and it's like, it is what it is. Yeah.
Looks like, see, the fundamentals of side hustling asked a question.
Let's go down. Did I miss it? Was it way above?
It was way above. Well,
let me go back up. Do you remember what it started with? Let me find them.
Yeah, I got it.
Right here. Is this it?
Yep. Yeah, he's asking. What do I think about the Queen's Gambit? So I don't know if anyone's watched. I don't know if you guys have watched the Queen's Gambit.
I watched it.
So like I said, we've always loved chess here. Me and my wife, we've played it since the beginning of our relationship.
Nice. Okay, that's a bond.
We kind of stopped. We stopped playing it for a while. We hadn't played it for a while, and then we watched the Queen's Gambit and instantly started playing it again. So playing all the time now. That was one of the best shows I think I've seen in a long time.
Remind me, is it a Netflix thing or what is this?
Yeah, it's a Netflix thing.
Somebody was bringing it up.
It's a book. It's a book, right? It's a book as well. I can't remember who wrote it now.
I want to say it was Derek that told me about it. Somebody was mentioning it. I was like, what? Because I don't subscribe to like Netflix and all that stuff. So,
but I'll say that show right now is the reason that chess is so hot. It's the reason everyone's buying chess books.
Yep. You think it's like kind of it may help make the resurgence of it?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
So, and I didn't mean to run off on a tangent early, but like you said, you were in, I forget the city it was in
Dayton.
Dayton, Ohio. So, I mean, tell me about like your thoughts. Like, here's something. How long was that rich history of that building there? Like, was it just 50 years maybe at the most, or Was it there for a long?
I think she said when I asked her that question, how long that club had been in existence.
Okay.
I think she said since like the 50s, like 56 or something like that.
Almost 75 years almost.
Yeah, it had been in existence there.
So did you feel like a responsibility getting those books? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason that I didn't take everything. Because I was, my assumption is that they have, they had group members, I'm sure, and I'm sure they gave them first dibs on a lot of things. And I'm sure whatever is left over that they would probably either give it to them or find some other, other chess, I don't know, maybe chess school groups or something that they would give it to. So that was part of the reason I didn't want to take everything. I did take a lot though, not gonna lie.
Like you took stuff that like kind of need this.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this I'm pretty sure I can sell this for a good amount, and I can use it as well.
I was gonna say, but unfortunately, they had to relinquish their their history.
Or someone sold the building. Whoever owns that building.
All that time and rich history. You know what I mean? Like when you see something come to a completion.
Yeah.
I mean,
bittersweet sale for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's kind of like this weird double-edged sword kind of thing. Like, ooh, I'm kind of happy I want it, but I wouldn't say guilt, but it's like, wow, when you run across that, you're like, for me, I'm like, I have this historian nature because I have a master's in arts, and so like in art history too. And so it's like I always feel like maybe it's just me, but like I know there's a few other people that I love to hear when they're like, yeah, I kind of feel this sense of obligation. Like, what part of us can preserve it in terms of collectability? Like, maybe I will hold on to this, not because I know it's I can get a better money out of it, but like this is a rare item. I don't care if I can get 500 for it real quick and drop it, but I'll never see this again. And I found books like that. That's But when you're talking about like if you're studying something you love, and like what Derek was talking about, there may be a resurgence around it, but that's good too, because like everything kind of comes in cycles. Like I don't know why Grateful Dead is making another resurgence, but there's a kind of a 90s hip vibe about like t-shirts and stuff. And I think I talked to somebody about this, and it was in an ephemera show I did. I really do think it comes back to the history of something.
Yeah.
The notability of where, go ahead. I'm sorry. Speak to that if you'd like,
Oh no, I was just agreeing. Yeah. I mean, the history definitely adds that, brings that back.
What's the oldest thing you found?
Probably that Bible.
Bible?
Yeah. Okay. That Bible. I don't think I found anything older than that. At least not that I'm aware of. Okay. What about you?
Ooh, there was some. I did find something that was like, I want to say it was from the 1700s, but the pages and everything, the book was not holding up.
Wow.
It was so fragile, and now I understand why the person let it go, because it was pretty much going to deteriorate. But there was just like this kind of curiosity in me, like going, I really want to look at this. What was this all about? What have you? Well, listen, I mean, we can talk a lot more, and I probably have more questions I'd love to ask you. And I know we're hitting up that hour mark, and we want to be respectful of your time, Brennan. So, yeah, no, thank you for coming. One day, like, if you'd love to bring your guitar next time, we'd love to hear you play a quick ditty.
Yeah. I'll try to learn your river song.
Oh, man, it's play with it and see if that's something you're even interested. But Luis, you got us anything you want to share here? Or?
No, just like I said, I want to thank Brennan for coming in and joining us today, and giving us a little bit more insight of what he does.
And who he is,
his music background, and all that good stuff. I learned a lot from about him today, so definitely going to check out your videos as well. And everybody that's in the chat, if you guys do not follow Curious Picker, make sure you guys go ahead and check out his channel and all his videos. And if you guys like what you guys see, don't forget to subscribe to his channel. And
his Instagram's also on there. And I hope you don't mind, I put your eBay store, so
people, right ahead. Anyone who wants some chess books, there's a bunch of them out there for you.
Now you're gonna make me curious and go look.
Yeah, I do. I appreciate you guys having me on as well. This is a lot of fun. I haven't done one of these in a long time, so it's
cool. I hope we didn't beat you up too bad.
Yeah, no, it's great. Good stuff.
We enjoy having you. We always try to bring somebody diverse and somebody that we think has unique edge and a perspective, and I think you do. Like, I think just watching you, how you, even though you consider yourself only a part-time reseller, I think you just have some unique traits that like we can watch and learn. And I think that's the fun, the plethora of this place called YouTube is such a unique gold mine of like information. And like, so that you were very kind of us to like, let us know that you were an observer, you know? And I think that's a unique trait that a lot of people don't take in consideration. And I've seen some resellers like slow down, just take a look of your environment, like especially when you're coming in for, you know, like, hey, here's this big thing, you know, like, okay, you know, like, where do you want to go first? Are you a gamer and just going to go for the kill? And or are you going to go look at the bookshelves? Like, I found some of my, you know, best finds on bookshelves and stuff.
Oh yeah. End of the day is where you, if you can figure out those things that everyone's walked past, that's where you really can really shine as a reseller, in my opinion. It's always just thinking outside the box, finding those things that no one looks for. There's no competition for them. That's what I love.
That's awesome. That's a great tip. We usually ask somebody to finish on that note, and you summed it up for us so nicely without even asking. So.
Perfect.
Appreciate you, Brennan. So just stay there. We're just gonna say goodbye and log off, and then we'll say goodbye to you. Thank you, guys, everybody. Once again, please check the links here. Curious Picker is an avid reseller. You guys can learn a lot from him. But just for respect in Buffalo, real quick, I want to say Buffalo Picker's here. He's really great. If you haven't seen Tommy's show, check him out. You guys, I love Tommy. Tommy has a unique perspective. He's an Amazon guy, and let me tell you what, if you want to learn anything, go see Buffalo Picker. He's awesome. Tommy is shows it usually on Fridays, but he's not up this Friday. I think he's coming on right after the New Year with the Glass City Pickers. So thank you, Tommy, for stopping in. We appreciate you. And Derek, thank you for your question. We appreciate you too. And everybody that came in. Oh, Jeff walked in, eBay Addicts. Once again, thank you for being here. This has been Monday's Mindful Merchants. I like to end it on maintain your focus and elevate. Try to do something nice. Be nice to somebody. Help another reseller out. Luis, finish us off.
Yeah, definitely, man. You guys take care of yourselves, not just physically, but mentally as well. Make sure if you don't take care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of your family and others? So make sure you always take care of yourself in every way possible. And happy holidays to everyone. And don't forget, tomorrow I do have an auction, Tuesday night auction. So if you guys have some time, come check it out. Starts at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So
I'm seeing, and remember, Brennan has a new video out. It's on the chest thing that he mentioned in our talk. So come and like and subscribe. Hey,
definitely.
It's a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
All right.